Okay, and with that, it is 4:30, so we will call our regular meeting of the Butler Community College Board of Trustees to order. It is October 10th, 2023, and we'll start with our Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Linda is gone today, and I understand that Kim is stuck in a bit of traffic, so we will move on, and hopefully Kim can join us as soon as she gets here. First thing up, we need to approve the agenda. I am not aware of any amendments to it, but if anybody has any, speak now. If not, would entertain a motion to approve it as presented.
I so move that we approve the agenda as presented.
And I'll second. Oh.
Seeing no discussion.
Trustee Good.
Yes.
Trustee Brungard is absent. Trustee Jolly is absent. Trustee Rhodes.
Yes.
Trustee Winslow.
Yes.
Trustee Shearer.
Yes.
Trustee Smith.
Yes.
Okay, that passes 5-0. Thanks all. We will move on to recognitions. Dr. Kroll.
Thanks. I'm going to sit here so I can sit in front of my microphone. First, I want to recognize Jamie Williams and Monica Zavala, who are both academic advisors. I don't see either one of them here. But they presented at the annual Kansas Academic Advising Network Conference that was at Wichita State in September. Their presentation was titled Bridging the Gap, Developing Strategies for Online Advisor Training. And so we want to recognize them and thank them for their commitment to be engaged, beyond the borders of the college and to share information that they gather from working with our students. But I know in these situations, they always bring information back to us. So we want to say congratulations to them. Kirsten Allen's here. We want to recognize Kirsten. She was recognized by the Kansas Association of Collegiate Registrars and Admissions Officers, CACRO, for the support she's given to the organization this past year as the historian and the Constitution coordinator. There's a long history of Butler folks being engaged at the state level in CACRO. And Kirsten's, I don't know how many different roles you've filled, but a number of our folks in admissions have participated at the state level. So again, really important for their commitment and time at the state level. But thanks for representing Butler so well. We really appreciate that. We also want to recognize Dr. Jenna Gannon.
That's wonderful.
Yeah. Jenna is one of our research analysts, works with Dr. Mohammed, and just in the last couple of weeks defended your dissertation. So we're really proud of you. She worked on her doctorate through Kansas State University. So congratulations.
Yay.
I got a couple of others here too. Shelby's birthday was Sunday, so we want to say happy birthday to Shelby. Hope you had a great day.
Shelby.
I'm finally 50.
Yeah. And then, and then a couple of weeks ago, just over a week ago, when we played our home football game with Hutch, the athletic department inducted Coach Steve Brett, into our Athletic Hall of Fame. Steve had been a coach for 42 years at Butler and an outstanding coach, but also an outstanding leader of men. And so we want to play the video for you that Matt and Tyler put together, some tremendous comments from DeMarcus Lawrence, who plays for the Dallas Cowboys. But we want to take some time to show that video to you. Steve's just an amazing man that's touched a lot of lives in 42 years and just highly regarded and beloved. So anyway, we'll let you play the video for us. His family was there. It was fun. Probably 150, 200 players back to see him. Wonderful.
Every once in a while, a man comes along who leaves an unforgettable mark on the lives he touched. A man whose impact goes far beyond the football field. Coach Steve Brett is one of those men. For 42 years, Coach Brad stood on the sidelines as a coach for the Butler Grizzlies. But to those who know him, played for him, or even spent time around him, knows he was way more than that. Coach Brad did much more than coach football, not only shaping us into great football players, but even better husbands, fathers, and leaders. He turned us into men. His influence extended far beyond the football field. Coach Brad's legacy in football is undeniable. He has been a part of all 6 national championships, 22 conference championships, and 29 bowl victories. But what truly sets him apart, and the reason today is so special, is the lasting impact he had on countless lives. On my life. Today, many of Coach Brad's former players are living testaments to the values he installed on us as 18 and 19-year-old kids. Lessons he taught on a grass field that have transformed our lives for the better.
Hit it! Set! Hit it! Go! Set! Hit it! Good. You gotta step straight. Good. Here we go. D-line on 3. 1, 2, 3. D-line! Good.
And now, it's time to honor the man who made all of this possible. Today, we're celebrating you, Coach, as you are inducted into the Butler Athletic Hall of Fame. Coach, your impact on the football field is legendary, but your influence in the lives of those you touched is unmeasurable. Thank you for being a mentor, a father figure, and a true inspiration to all. Congratulations, Coach Brad. You earned your place in the Hall of Fame, not just for your wins on the field, but for the thousands of lives you touched and the legacy that will be remembered forever. We love you, Coach Brad. D-Law.
Is this going to be posted with the meeting when it gets posted?
It's all over social media too.
Okay,
Yeah, it's
it's
all
on
over
the
social.
website.
I don't know if it's on the website, but it's all over social media on the athletic stuff. But
So neat.
yeah,
Wonderful.
great man, great legacy. Yeah, it was fun to celebrate lots and lots of players back and lots of family members back. So it was fun. So I think that's all I have.
Awesome. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Okay, we do have some folks present for public comment today, so I will read our little blurb for that. The general public is welcome to address the Board of Trustees under the public comment section of the regular board meeting agenda. Public comment should be germane to the business and activities of the Board of Trustees. Personnel issues are prohibited from public comment. The board chair will ask visitors wishing to make brief comments to identify themselves and the topic they wish to address. If several members of one group or organization wish to speak to the board concerning the same item, the board chair may ask the group to identify a single spokesperson. A time limit of 5 minutes has been set for each recognized member or spokesperson of the audience to speak to the board. The board will take no action during the public comment period of the board meetings. However, it will take the matter under deliberation and, if appropriate, direct the president to follow up with a written response and report at the next regular board meeting. So I have 2 individuals that I know of that are interested. Mr. Powell, you would, the podium is yours.
Just have to speak into it so they can hear you.
Yes, since COVID, I don't speak as loud as I used to. Board of Trustees, thank you for allowing me the time to share my thoughts. My name is David Powell. This is the first meeting I have attended in person, but I have followed these proceedings for some time and appreciate them for being online. As a short bio, I'll offer the following. I earned my degree in mathematics, but also have minors in English, science, history, creative writing, and physical education. While in college, I was also editor for a national monthly newspaper that went to every major college in the United States. As an athlete, I earned a varsity letter. I taught high school math for 10 years and coached many sports. The team here in El Dorado gave me the nickname Papa Powell because they said it was like a papa to them. I continue to mentor many of them today. I went into insurance business, owning my own agency here for 46 years. I didn't just read a book and build what I have today. I earned 4 advanced college degrees to be able to do it right. The guiding principle I've lived with ever since is that I will not recommend for someone what I would not do for myself. That's why I'm here today. That guiding principle does not seem to be one this board is following, neither are many of the basic principles of business being followed. Yes, I've heard it said several times that this is an educational institution, not a business, but I'm sorry. That may be part of the root of the problems that are facing Butler today. This is a business. As I understand it, it's an $80 million a year budget business. Taxpayers of Butler County are your clients. If I treated them like you've treated them, I would have gone out of business long ago. Every day I look at what I'm doing and where I'm spending money. If something is not working, I don't keep doing the same thing year after year or throwing money after it, hoping it will change. When it is your money, you do that. Why is your marketing program not working? The budget, as I understand it, was only a few $100,000, but now it's around $770,000. It does not make sense to take $750,000 to increase brand recognition. The whole goal should be to go after the shrinking limited number of students to enroll here. But enrollment has dropped 27% in the last 4.5 or so years. This marketing should demand instant results. Your targets are elsewhere by next year. I would submit that with today's movement toward vocational certifications in a semester or two, a lot of the $750,000 would be better spent bolstering support for carpentry, welding, construction, and so forth at Butler. We can help get those good, high-paying jobs. Marketing has its best results when it's personal. Responding to an internet search with a simple, "I saw you checking us out. Please call us. We're happy to answer your questions." That can generate enrollment. We should be doing a lot of community outreach. I'm not talking about Camp Butler or dual credit classes, but I would like to see the actual enrollment for Camp Butler. By outreach, what I mean is the college sending staff, teachers, and so on to surrounding schools to promote Butler? That should happen at a minimum to every school in Butler County. Butler used to do it. Butler is not just athletics. It is the taxpayers who look at their tax statements, not their levies, in Butler County that think they are not seeing any return for their investment. My kids remember Butler visits 4 or 5 times a year when they were in high school, not just at an assembly, but right in the classrooms, promoting areas of interest like scholastics, music, art, science, and construction. Butler should be the destination for local students, be it moving on to a 4-year degree or stepping into a vocation. Butler should be the answer. By not innovating, this board and administration are killing the school. I want it to grow and be here years from now. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Bell.
Oh, thank you. Mr. Husley. Floor is yours.
Good afternoon. My name is Aaron Huseleg. I'm a resident of Andover. I'm running for Board of Trustees for District 1. My wife, Becky, and I have lived in Andover since 1995. Our 4 children have attended Andover schools. One is still attending Andover schools. The other 3 have graduated and moved on. I started my business back in 1995. After moving from Caney, Kansas, I worked there for a year with a gentleman named Dr. Chester Marsh, who instilled the importance of community service. He suggested to me that I consider serving the community for in return for all of the benefits that the community has given myself and my family. And that's why I've decided to run for this position. If you guys have any questions, I don't want to take up any more time. I know these board meetings last quite a while. You are more than welcome to visit my website at huselegfortrustee.com. Thank you very much.
Very good.
Anyone else in the public or comments? Yes, sir. Thank you. We can get your, do you have a sheet? Okay, my name is, okay. We'll get a sheet.
I hope I'm following the procedure. My name's Corey Tubner. I'm an English professor here and I have been for about 10 years, lots and lots of Comp 1 and Comp 2. And I'm here to address the board directly and everyone present about the worry I have about the prospect of losing our due process protections that are currently codified in state law, but which are not explicitly addressed in our current contract. And I think that they really ought to be. Now, I want you to understand, I'm not here speaking on behalf of the faculty. I have a very personal worry that I want to address, but I also want to tell you that in conversations with faculty, I've heard 3 kind of emergent concerns that I think actually all land in the camp of things that about due process that benefit the board and the institution overall. The first one is, above all, if we take academic rigor and we take academic integrity seriously at the institution, and I know that we do, faculty members need the tools to be able to do that day in and day out. And one central tool for that is due process protections. We have to be sure that when ideas that we teach in our classrooms aren't popular, but are about an academic consensus, that we won't be targeted for that and don't risk losing our jobs by just doing the teaching that we do. The same thing goes for academic integrity and rigor. There's a constant pressure to retain more students, to make more students be successful. And it's too easy for some institutions to tell faculty members that they need, in order to keep their job, to pass more students. I don't think anybody on this board or in this administration wants that to be the outcome, but due process protections are there to protect the institution from having those incursions on academic rigor and integrity. A second emergent school of thought is, well, some people say, why does the board want to continue to expose itself to the possibility of litigation for unlawful termination? This happened in the last few years. The school lost $1 million of taxpayer money when they fired an employee who was not privy to due process protections. The due process protections were in place, of course, but that was not an that person was not a member of the association. They didn't have easy access to an umpire who could adjudicate the process and make sure that it panned out in a way that's fair. And the courts found that it was ultimately unfair. That will happen again if we don't do our diligence and make sure that we actually have the processes in place and that they're respected along the way. And the third concern that I hear faculty talking about is just a deep worry about our current enrollment environment. There is discussion that there's potential for reduction in forces. We hope that won't reduction in force. In other words, culling, because of pecuniary reasons, the faculty who do a lot of the teaching. Should that become necessary, we want to be confident that when people have to be let go, it's done for reasons that are appropriate. It's done for just reasons. My personal worry has more to do with my sort of professional livelihood and the longevity of my career at Butler. This is not about a personal mistrust of administration or of this board. It's that even if your motives are always pure every time, you simply can't umpire your own ball game. If you have a vested interest and the opposing side has a vested interest in the process, then it's up to having a neutral party to make sure that everybody's paying attention, because the pressure is too great when people's livelihoods are at stake, when the solvency of the institution is at stake. That's why these laws are here, to protect not just faculty and their livelihoods, but the institution itself. We see what happened in Emporia, where due process was not followed, and now they're down 13.3% in their enrollment this year. And it's a one-to-one causation effect in this case, right? That institution really botched the way that it managed its faculty. And in the end, the institution is suffering. It's going to take a long time for them to come back. So, the thing is this: when I started at Butler more than 10 years ago, I made a choice to work here and see my career through, to make this my professional commitment at the expense of other opportunities I could have chosen for at the time. Part of the reason I felt confident making that choice, doing this thing that my family will continue to depend on for a long time, is partly because I know that educational environments have a culture of due process protections. It gives me the tools I need to do my job, and it makes me sure that I won't be let go for some reason that is not about my own job performance or something like that. I think that's all I'll say. So I really do appreciate your time, and I hope it is all I'll say.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Really appreciate it.
Any other comments? Okay, thanks to those who joined us. We'll move on to our standing reports, starting with student government. Oh, on Zoom. Emily, the floor is yours if you're there.
No.
You're still muted. If you did, you probably know that, but just in case. Okay, why don't we move on to operational staff, and we'll pick up Emily when she connects back in.
She's probably having a panic attack.
Well, we won't skip her, I promise.
Okay, operational staff update. Patty McFadden, Lori Taylor, and myself represented op staff at the scholarship dinner last Thursday. This year, we were able to award 2 book scholarships to students that are either an employee or related to an employee, an op staff employee that works at the college. And our next meeting will be Thursday, October 12th here in El Dorado at 3 o'clock. That's all I have today. Thanks.
Thanks, Zach.
Emily, are you back? Technology is great until it's not. Well, Emily, we're not going to skip you. We'll keep moving on, and then we'll come back when you're able to connect. So, Dr. Sater, you want professional employees?
Gotten old at this job and have to put the glasses.
What was that?
Gotten old at the job to wear glasses. Okay, just one sentence. Every month, I come before you to give you a sense of the professional employees, our work, our accomplishments, our concerns, and general disposition. This duty has never been so important as it is today. If you haven't already been informed, I'm sure your negotiators will tell you in executive session that contract talks have once again broken down in mediation. And we will be moving on to fact-finding as we did a short 2 years ago. Your bargaining team has assured us that this is due to board's instructions. Professional employees' responses range from disbelief to sadness to outright anger. Disbelief that you would tell your negotiators to not even consider good faith bargaining for the issues we brought to the table. Sadness that you have so little respect and regard for college employees.
despite the cheap talk and paper certificates occasionally doled out. Anger that you would hold a successful conclusion to these negotiations over basic rights in the academic world. Just one sentence. No employee shall be disciplined or terminated without just cause. You've decided to leave yourselves the eventual option to fire us for no good reason. We wouldn't imagine that this is how you would wish to treat those dedicated to the college mission, students, and communities. This is especially puzzling when we note that two of you are retired teachers and former KNEA members who clearly prospered under the same due process you now deny us. I wonder what your erstwhile colleagues would think about this. As the elected stewards of Butler Community College, you are doing incalculable harm. I wonder if this is what the voters elected you to do. This kind of leadership suggests a nursery rhyme. For want of one sentence, a contract was lost. For want of a contract, respect and dedication were lost. For want of respect and cooperation, student learning was lost. For want of student learning, enrollment was lost. For want of enrollment, a college was lost, and all for the lack of just one sentence. So much for the professional employees report.
Thank you, Dr. Taylor.
Emily, are you able to connect?
Yes, I'm
Hey,
so
there we
sorry
go.
about that.
No worries.
Technology.
No worries. Go right ahead.
Hello, I'm Emily Hernandez. I'm your Butler Student Government Association president, and I've brought your SG report since September 12th. September 13th, we partnered with Residence Life and Nancy Ham for suicide awareness. September 15th, we celebrated Constitution Day with cupcakes supported by SGA. September 16th, we student government handed out rally towels and palms at our home football and volleyball games. September 26th, 29th, October 5th, and October 6th, we held voter registration tables for students in order to vote and per request of President Kroll. And October 7th, SGA had handed out Butler soccer scarves at the home game. This Friday, October 13th, SJ will be putting on their student fun Friday Fright Night. It will be a movie at the football field. Is there any questions or any comments?
What movie's on tap for Fright Night?
I'm not 100% sure. We're still kind of figuring that out, kind of getting feedback from students. But right now, I believe it's the newest Scream from 2022.
Dress warmly.
Emily, thank you much.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Mary Martha, Board Finance Committee.
I'm going to switch it over to our lovely Mr. Kent Williams.
Yeah, Finance Committee didn't meet today. We didn't have a lot to talk about. I did have Carrie look through the statement of revenues, expenditures, and other changes. It's in the back of your book. There's really no big anomalies there. There's a little bit of a percentage change on the institutional support expenditures. It shows a budget spend of 34% this year. Last year was just 28%. That's mainly due to the increased cost of our insurance. We're all aware of what happened there. So other than that, there's really no significant changes. Thank you.
Thank you, Kent. The Foundation Board meets next month, so I do not have anything. Thomas, or anything to? Okay. Move on then, Dr. Kroll.
Thank you. A couple of things. Just a reminder about the HLC webinar on the 19th of October from 11 to noon about writing interim monitoring report. I sent you an email, I don't know, a couple of weeks ago about that. I know a couple of people have registered. We'll follow up with another email reminder about that. I know Forrest and Dave and Mary Martha have registered. I don't know if anybody else has registered at all. I know I have. I think a couple of people on campus have. Phil has. So we'll email that reminder back out to everyone again. In the budget that was approved last month, I guess, on the additional needs list, there was an opportunity to fund a shooting sports team. We've had some conversation for the last couple of years about launching the potential to launch a clay, shooting sports, a trap team. There are a lot more teams now at the high school level than there have been in the past. Fort Hays has a nationally recognized shooting sports team. Pitt State has a team. And so I wanted you to know that we're going to explore the possibility of starting that. We've had some conversation with Darren Jackson, who's helped with some teams at the high school level. We know that last year at the state meet, I think there were 500 high school kids that participated. And so we want to explore that possibility. We have the opportunity with some local folks around here that have shooting ranges to be able to have students practice on those potentially. We believe that there's some opportunity for corporate sponsorship or area sponsorship of folks around here to help offset the cost of the purchase of the ammunition that they need and the clays that they need. So I just wanted to let you know, this would be a men's and women's team. Thinking that we would try to hopefully be able to recruit 10 men and 10 women for next year, for fall of 2024. So I'll keep you posted. We want to get started on at least talking about it and potentially doing something so that we have things in place by the time students would be enrolling early in the spring for classes, and we want to be able to get out into the high schools and start to talk to some folks about the possibility of that. So I wanted to let you know about that.
And Dr. Kroll, there is a young man from over in the Towanda area who was part of the Fort Hays national team.
Yeah.
And his father makes custom gun stocks and is very much involved in that on a national basis.
Yeah. Yeah. We think that there's a lot of opportunity. So we want to explore it. So I'll keep you posted on what we hear and what we find out as we go along. I wanted to let you know that just within the last couple of weeks, we've had 5 apprenticeship pathways approved by the Board of Regents. These are all corporate degrees or pathways that are offered through career and workforce education. With all the apprenticeship dollars that have been distributed by the state in the last year, there's a real push from the Technical Education Authority and the Kansas Board of Regents to get some of these additional apprenticeship pathways approved. And so Michelle Reuter and John Kressler, Dr. Neville, and their teams have, Peggy Krause worked hard to get it's a simple pathway actually now through the Board of Regents and through TEA to get these approved because they want to fast track them. So we've had plumbers and pipe fitters, construction trades, electrical, sheet metal, and workforce development pathways all approved by KBOR. And so this just opens up some more avenues for apprenticeships and engaging folks that are already in the workforce and working to earn their butler degree if they want to do that as well.
Dr. Kroll, could you say those again? Plumbing, construction, sheet.
Plumbers and pipe fitters.
Okay.
Construction trades.
Okay.
Electrical, sheet metal, and then a general one that's called workforce development.
Okay. Thank you.
Yep.
Those are the 5 apprenticeships that you found.
They're the ones that have been recently approved by KBOR and TEA.
Do we have any local help on getting those apprenticeships filled?
Well, our folks are out working with industry partners.
Okay.
Yes, currently.
Okay.
On October 26th, there's a joint advisory dinner that you're invited to. We will send an email reminder to you. The deadline to come for dinner if you want to. The deadline to get information is to Jennifer is the 18th of October. What time's dinner start? 5:30? We'll have to get the details for sure, but you're welcome to come and have dinner. The different groups then, I'm sorry, 6, thanks. The different groups then will separate and have a meeting with their advisory council, the faculty and stuff, but you're sure welcome to come and have dinner with everyone if you'd like to do that. It'll be in the Clifford Stone, I think, right? Okay. PTK induction is also on October 29th at 2 p.m. in the student union, in the meeting rooms in the student union. Typically, they like to have a trustee that could do a welcome. I think, Mary Martha, you did a welcome the last time around. Starts at 2 p.m. That's a Sunday afternoon. Would check to see if there's anybody that would be available to do a welcome for that.
I can do that.
Okay. We will follow up with you and give you a reminder of time and location and all that. Okay. Thank you. I think that's all I have.
Okay. Dr. Cole, thank you.
Yep.
Educational Facilities Authority, Dave.
Well, we did meet and paid some outstanding bills that we needed to pay. And I think the group as a whole is looking for different ways to utilize the stadium more. We've got some signage changes that needs to happen, but all the boxes are sold and you know, we're looking into the continued future of the stadium and the continued maintenance of the stadium. And the next meeting is not until December.
Okay, thank you. We will move on then to our monitoring reports.
Yes, submitted a advancement division report to the board for review, and just open to any questions you might have concerning any of the information submitted.
I have a question on the total amount of scholars. I think we've gone over this before, is 881,120. That's the total amount that's dispersed. Is that mostly from the what's it called? You guys hold the amount?
Oh, the endowment.
Is that mostly from endowments?
Oh, it's part of it. So we have our fundraising that goes on at the auction, which is about $300-some thousand. And we have also other things that go on during the year that support scholarships. And then there's the income from the endowment.
Okay, but
I don't have a breakdown for you right here.
no, that's fine. That's
yeah.
We
And
had gone
Tom,
over this
go ahead.
before. So I know we spend as a college about 300 grand in the wages for the foundation. It just seems like a large amount to spend and disperse roughly 900 grand. But that's just my opinion.
Well, and that's just the scholarships.
Yeah. Yeah. And on the next page, I just wanted to get clarification. It says 22-23 fiscal year. You had a record breaking $6 million. It is just $6 million in fundraising.
Right. So all the fundraising activity that went on during that fiscal year, that's what that number reflects.
I'm interested in the amount. Do you have any idea about what percentage might be from Butler supporters versus?
We can't hear you,
Out of county.
Julie.
Do you have any idea what might be the percentage of Butler versus out of county supporters?
Yeah, I don't have that number on top of my head. That the mixture of the support depends on what the project is. Sometimes it's a heavy Butler support. Sometimes it's a mix. It just depends on that particular project.
Okay. Tom, can you tell me about the emergency loan disbursements?
Sure. So we have a fund that's available for students that typically they're waiting on their Pell Grant federal to come in, and they have fees they have to pay, or
Sure.
they have an emergency, like my tire went out. I need to get to school, but I can't afford to buy a new tire. They can come to the foundation for a loan of up to $500, and then we provide that for them.
Very
It's usually
nice.
just a bridge.
Thank you.
Mhm.
I don't know where else they would get them. If you did not.
Yeah.
You know, unless they went to cash into check or checking cash or whatever that
Yeah, there's,
45%.
so there's a number of students who, when they come to Butler, have a number of challenges financially. And so they're really on a thin edge. And so little things like that can stop them from pursuing the education that semester.
Right.
So that's our goal, is just to kind of keep them on that rail versus them stepping out.
Good.
Thank you.
Any other questions for Tom? Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Tom.
Move on to our strategic discussion items. The first one is the quarterly Cora update, which is on page 9 of your board book. Have any discussion beyond, we all could see this from the board book, so it's just information being shared like the board has asked previously, so if there's no discussion, we'll move on.
Trustee Winslow, can you tell me, and I'm not being mean or sarcastic, but why did you file a Cora for the cost of printing for summer 2023?
Because I wanted to know in a timely manner. And if you remember our first year together, they were very slow to come when I would ask for information regarding college expenditures. So at the beginning of the second year, I decided to write Coras for the most part, so that there would be an obligation to provide the information, or why the information couldn't be provided within the 3-day time period, or at least tell me when
I
that
think the question
information
was
would
this
be
particular.
provided.
Yeah, this
What about this
particular one.
publication was of interest?
Well, I wanted to know. I mean, it's an expenditure for the college, and that is constitutionally, according to the Kansas statutes, what we're here for.
Well, I just can't understand why you filed a Cora request when that information would be readily available.
Exactly. And all the information I've asked for, to my knowledge, was readily available. But again, there's a time constraint here. I didn't want to wait very long, like 13 months or anything. So,
Let's let that horse has been beaten to death 3 years ago.
which is why I started filing Coras.
Yeah, and had continued to file them for the
Exactly.
last 3 years
Yes.
unnecessarily.
I just want them on a timely basis for us.
We'll move on then to the 900 building HVAC replacement. Ireland, do you have some info on that for us?
And just so we can all argue a little bit, I'm not sure it's proper for you as chair to add the rebuttal comments at the end of Mary's question.
No, it's not really.
And that was
I have the,
just-
I
you
have a right to,
That was rude. and it
I have a
wasn't
right to offer
necessary.
my opinion just like everybody else does. I'm not censored because I happen to be the
I didn't say
chair.
you were censored, but it was rude and unnecessary.
Thank you, Trustee
Go ahead.
Smith.
Good evening, everyone. I believe in your board packet, you have a description of the project we're needing to accomplish in 900 on the HVAC. Does anyone have any questions on that? I might add that we are going out for bid next week for this, so we can get some pricing. McCollum out of Augusta, Simpson and out of Wichita, Conco out of Wichita, and McCown Gordon out of Wichita are the 4 generals that are bidding this project. Does anyone have any questions?
Is that the only one out of Butler County you could get interested in bidding?
It is.
Sorry about that.
Well, commercially, we're pretty limited.
I'm
So-
sure that's true.
So, our plan is to get the bids back in and bring the budget numbers to you guys at the work session at the end of the month, so we can discuss it. So hopefully we can get board approval at the November board meeting.
That'll be great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Arnold. Okay, we'll keep plugging along here. 20th day enrollment numbers. Dr. Kroll?
Yeah, Dr. Mohammed and Jessica, Dr. Oman and Dr. Neville, all doctors. And I visited
Doctor.
have visited, wanted to provide a little bit more information to you. I emailed some information to you after the Board of Regents 20-day numbers came out. And thought it would be worthwhile to spend just a little bit more time pointing out some things and sharing a little bit of information with you. So I think ESOM's going to, I've reprinted some of this I emailed to you. It's the location information. Esom, do you have a copy of that if you want one of these? You have it on your computer?
This time the computer hasn't died.
Yeah. So,
Thank you.
thought Esom could review some of the location information, the site information for you. At the very top, we sent to you the tuition category information. Tom will visit about some of the program, specific information on enrollment, and Jessica also has, some process things that she'll visit about and share with you things that we're doing and have been doing. So and when Tom gets ready, I'll pass out another handout for you. Or I guess I can pass it out right now. So you've got it too. So
Ready?
Esom.
Yeah, go ahead. All right, sounds good. Well, thank you, Dr. Krell. I'm not going to tell you that enrollment went up because it did not. I think we all know that. I wish it was not the case, but it did go down. And overall, we lost about 2.72% in comparison to last fall.
2.17,
2.72.
So almost 3.
2.17 or 2.72.
It's at the top of
2.72.
this, it's at the top of this sheet, top table.
That loss was not even all across our locations. One of the good things in this otherwise sombering number is that our online platform, our virtual classes, they remained pretty stable. We did not lose anything in online classes. In fact, we gained 6 hours. I know that sounds little, but it was stable. This is where a lot of enrollment is going and hopefully growing across the country. So that's a good sign. What I'd also point out that yes, in Andover and in El Dorado, we did lose 5% in one case, 6 in the other, and they're significant, no question about it. One thing, as a matter of explanation, a couple of things I'll share with you. That is there a silver bullet which would explain all of it, grand unifying theory of everything? I ain't no Einstein, so I don't have that feeling. But I'll share a couple of factors which I think did affect this. One of them certainly is that, almost our entire loss was in-state out-district students. Some of it has to do with tuition increases. Not all of it. I want to be very clear about it. Not all of it, but some of it did. The other factor when I look at El Dorado is that we did lose the number of majors we had in our education programs, the secondary education, elementary education. They did go down. And that has an effect in El Dorado. But more than that, those numbers are going down in much of the country because of the profession itself. There is quite a bit of morale issues in K through 12 teaching. Eventually the pipeline comes down, that you get to see that as people who go in are not going in as much. So that's another one of the factors. We did overall across the board, we lost a lot more part-time students than we did full-time students. Again, that's also one of those things that we regularly see, that when the economy starts doing a little bit of uncertainty that we are right now in, the first place where we see those difficulties are part-time students who are more likely to be going into the workforce or pulling out and going to the workforce to support their families and coming to school. None of them explains all of it. But those are factors I think that we need to keep in mind as we go forward. Before I turn it over to Dr. Neville, I'll be happy to answer the easier questions you have.
Easier questions.
Do you think the drop in enrollment at Emporia State and the kind of the de-emphasizing education up there hurt our best program or affected our best program?
I've thought about that, Dave, that Emporia still has a very good education program. I don't think that was affected. Having said that, when the news goes out and this program is a direct pipeline to Emporia, I'd be shocked if it didn't have somewhat of an effect on the minds of those who thought, well, I was going to Emporia, but oh wow, Emporia. It could, certainly.
I have a concern I haven't really heard addressed. I mean, coming up, I've heard we've got a a decline in high schoolers, graduation heading our way in 26, I think might be.
Yep, that's right.
And we're dual crediting kids. So what kids we have now dual crediting are not really going to be replaced as much 2 years from now, and we're going to have less seniors 2-3 years from now. So I think we're really heading for a dip in available high school students, even if nothing else changes, which is concerning, and I don't know how to address that.
Yeah, and you're right. It's that's what we often call the enrollment cliff. It is real. Starting in 2026, we'll start seeing a pretty, I wouldn't say significant, but it's going to be a sharper decline all the way up to 2032, I think. That is something we do need to address. And part of it is what you all have talked about in the past, that, we do need to go back in. I think Commissioner Powell was talking about it, that we need to go more into local high schools, get more of the yield. And I know our enrollment management team is working very hard towards that. But yeah, that's real concern, and that is the only solution that we can see.
The institutions, the community colleges and technical colleges that saw enrollment growth this year, especially the technical colleges, was almost all in high school students. They ramped up their programs. They added more CTE programs. Johnson County's enrollment growth with their high school students was because they scholarshiped students that were on free and reduced lunch or had financial barriers and stuff. So we're talking about some of these things internally about how we can maybe address some of those issues with our own Butler County high school students as well. But that's where the institution saw enrollment growth with right now was through high school programs and high school students.
Is there a possibility of getting kids straight out of high school or even homeschoolers that can do dual credit at Butler?
They already are.
I know. But could they also work at a trade for credit? I don't know how they would.
Credit for prior learning
Right,
apprenticeships.
so they Incorporate that with.
Yeah. That's
the
what some of those
16 years.
apprenticeship dollars are focused on.
Right, but I mean, that's something that they could do. At the same time.
That's a big part of it too. That
Because there's a
Can
lot
we
of
do
young
that?
kids want to get in the trades and do college.
Yeah, and that's exactly what those new workforce pathways are doing. So we're giving anybody that has a journeyman's card 45 credit hours for prior learning. They come with us, take 15 hours of gen ed courses.
Okay.
We give them an associate's degree. It's Kansas Promise eligible, and it also transfers to a 2+2 to Pitt State.
So that would be just work experience. Here's your 45 and then pay for the next 20.
Yeah.
And then
We're looking at how we can expand that to other opportunities. But these are ones that we knew we could get going right away.
And on that, I'll add that this year we did see, when we submitted the information to the Board of Regents this year, we did see a slight increase in the credit for prior learning hours. Yeah, not a whole lot, but it's in the right direction. Right. So your point is very well taken.
Doctor. Gotta remember that doctor part, even though you always grant. I have seen what has happened at Andover, and I was real disappointed to find out that we've lost like 47% since we built the new building there, which I don't think you can point a finger and make a blame at any of that. But I also noticed that Rose Hill has lost a lot of the dual credit students. Now, with us still giving the 15 hours free credit to any student that comes into a Butler high school, what do you think about the idea? Now, I'm not speaking for any of my board members here, just for me. Okay. What do you think about the idea of saying, hey, you know what? If you come and live in Butler and be part of the infrastructure out here in Butler County, not Butler University. As a student in high school, you can come into our area high schools out here and take dual credit classes for free beyond the 15 hours if you are a member of the county and if you live here. And on top of that, you will have no fees. And with our sluggish enrollment and also our 1% growth in the past 10 years, I think it's great. I think it would be a real asset to the college so that we could have more people in the infrastructure, more people taking courses and more people moving out here into Butler County. But it's just an idea. You might want to think about it and come back at some point and say, it's a dumb idea, Julie, here's why it won't work or whatever.
I don't think it's a dumb idea. I think it's a good idea.
But I really would like to see that. I was disappointed last year. I think we graduated at Rose Hill 7%. with, well, sorry, 7 people, not the last year, but the year before, that took 2 years and did the 2-year associate, whatever, and graduated. And then this year was like 3. And I'm like, why? But I have to tell you something else I observed too. I don't know how much it was a focus for my school district of Rose Hill. And it's been a long time since I went to Andover. They didn't have dual credit classes back then. So I don't know about that, but I do know I would like to see more of that. But one thing else I noticed is that they were not a member of the graduation ceremony. See, I'd have been up there going, look at these people. They graduated with a 2-year degree, but we did not have that. Now we have a new superintendent there, so that might change. But are we keeping track of the focus that our area counselors and school districts are paying on getting more students to go to those classes? Because chances are, if we can get them when they are in high school, we might actually keep them.
I agree with you. Yeah. And I know we are putting renewed focus into that. There are
Great.
better partnerships with many of the schools,
Yeah.
though that's, I know some other folks are here who can speak more to it, but I think all of those are things which are good, which we probably need. You're right.
Well, I know we get a lot of Sedgwick students, and that's great. I'm glad they come. If we didn't have them, we'd be closing doors everywhere. And I realize that, and I get it. And I want people to come out here and go to school, but I just want a little bit more for Butler County than right now.
We've had more than 600 high school seniors graduate through the academy pathway since 2010, since it started. Last year, I think we had 84 or 86 students, 84, I think maybe, Heather. And we recognize them in our graduation ceremony. I don't know whether the high schools do, but we certainly do in our.
I was trying to think of.
And Randall Chickadons at Rose Hill was the first superintendent that really stepped up and helped us launch the academy. He's been with us
But
from the very
never-
beginning.
The last 2 or 3 years, never had any kind of ceremony or any recognition during the graduation ceremonies. But we have a new one. You should go meet him. I think he'll be more prone to building that Butler student category. So. But thank you.
Follow up. On the total drop of in-state, out of county credit hours at the bottom is 6.63%. How much would you ballpark attribute that to tuition increase? I mean,
Yeah.
obviously not 100%, because that's
No,
been
it's not.
the same
And
trajectory.
It has had an effect. And when I look at the multiplier effect, there's a formula to it that for every percent this way, it goes 0.23% that way. I would say it's about of those 6%, about 2% was due to those. All else being equal, about 2% would have been for the tuition.
I mean, just roughly with the change in tuition, even if it was 100%, that reason, we still would have made more revenue. But I don't think it's not attributed all to that. So it was
No,
okay.
all of it is. You're right. I mean, if we increase it to 100%, we'd still get some people from Sedgwick County, I'm sure.
Or make it free.
I mean, it'd be nice to.
Dr. Mohammed, are you saying that we finished this revenue ahead? Or are you not opining on whether we finished revenue neutral, ahead or behind from that tuition increase?
We haven't figured that out yet, Mr. Chairman. I know Kent's folks were working on that right now, so we probably have that soon.
Maybe next.
Okay, that's fine. I just wanted, I got the sense that was being inferred from what you said.
No, I didn't want to infer that.
I just did quick numbers at 44,000 credit hours last year, to just say $120 an hour. And even 41,268 this year, 129, it's an additional 20 grand. Even if all of it was a decline due to the rough numbers, I think we still came out ahead. But I don't know.
I don't think we went down too far in the revenue. That's my initial understanding. I'll wait for Kent's people to come in.
Yeah, I think
That'd be
that's
part of the November update, right? Yeah.
Yeah, if we can get that update, it's important. I mean, to say, our decline in enrollment is basically similar to what it's been for several years. And if our revenue stayed the same or went up a little because of that change in enrollment costs, that was a net positive because we were on a decline, had been on a decline. We didn't increase said decline. So it'll be interesting to see where those numbers come in at.
Okay, on to the second handout. So this handout's going to be looking at it a little bit differently. The first page is going to look at credit hours and seats filled from last fall to this fall by division, how we organize our academic divisions. So you'll see there are some areas of positivity there. Our arts, digital media, and communications area did show a positive increase from last year in both credit hours and head count, seats filled, sorry. So the top is credit hours and the bottom is seats filled. So up to 2.14% there. ASE is our personal development courses. So we've seen that those enrollments declining over a few years now. Students that transfer in with a certain amount of hours don't have to take those courses. They're 1 credit hour courses, really tied to the field of study. So that one maybe not as telling. CTE, as you can see, is also up 3.47% credit hours. So that's our business classes, business systems, technology, marketing, accounting, data analytics, hospitality, internships, information systems, pastry arts, and software development is where we saw those increases. HEP is down. HSS, that's our humanities, and SEM is our science, engineering, and math. So those are more of our transfer courses.
What's HEP?
Health, education, and public safety.
Thank you.
Sorry, public services. Thank you. Please fact check me. So the next page is going to look at credit hours and seats by location. This will be a little bit different than ESOMs because we do update these almost daily. So we do see about this time of year, midtermish, another decline in some of our credit hours. So you can see here, again, the one on your right on your left is credit hours by location. The one on the right is seats filled. So you'll also see here some bright spots where we did see increases. A is for Andover. So Andover, we saw a decline there. B is for high schools enrollment in Butler County. Not all high school enrollment, just our high school enrollment in Butler County. And what we saw from our other sort of stats was that most of that decline shifted to online enrollment for high school students. So we actually saw an increase in overall high school enrollment, but we just saw that shifting from on the ground to online. C is correctional. So that's El Dorado Correctional Facility. E is El Dorado. F is Flint Hills. Again, we're positive there at Flint Hills. M is McConnell. We have trending positive there. O is our sites in Sedgwick County where we do our placements for early childhood. So we're trending up there. Online only. I'm not sure that should be down in the V category, which is virtual or online. Rose Hill, as you can see, is down slightly, 33 credit hours. And Winfield is our new expansion of nursing with Cali in the Winfield location. So most of that also corresponds with pluses or minuses in seats filled. So seats filled doesn't always mean credit hours. It depends on how many students take. The next one is our international credit hours. So we can see that also by location. Everywhere has shown a positive except for Rose Hill. So Andover, Butler High School, for some reason. I'm not sure why that would show. You know, Heather? That Butler High School students showed an increase in international headcount by 6 credit hours. Okay. We also online. So this is where, again, a positive. And then the last is by declared major. So this is overall credit hours of students on these majors. So you can see a significant number of our declared majors are trending positive from last fall. The WSU 75 is new, hence the 2,500% increase. But as you can see going through here, there's some steady areas, early childhood, Some of our certifications in EMT, medication aid, philosophy up 82%. Terry, you'd be happy to hear that. Sports management, culinary arts, art. So, these kind of reflect in some of those areas that we saw by division. So any questions I can answer about some of this?
I'd like to ask Heather, how long does it take to get residency?
Yeah, you'll need to come to the microphone, please.
Yes, it's 6 months and they do need to provide certain pieces of documentation. They provide those to the registrar's office.
Mary, could you talk in your mic and tell me a question? I couldn't hear it at all when you're facing away from me.
Right.
I didn't hear your question.
I didn't hear your
But if
question.
you could say it in the mic so they'll know on Cake Plan.
The question was, how do students establish residency? How long does it take?
Okay.
And then Jessica can provide some updates as well.
For providing the data. I wanted to talk a little bit about some of the things that we're putting in place and other different patterns for spring. You noted in the enrollment information that international is up. I would continue to see that I think spring as well. Also, our high school is up, and we're working closely with high school partnerships, academies. And you can see that increase for the spring as well. We're also focusing on the workforce degrees that have been talked about a few times tonight. And we're helping the students that are in those apprenticeship, whether it's a credit apprenticeship or a non-credit apprenticeship, and helping them get into one of the pathways. They can get here.
The button wasn't on.
Sorry.
Sorry about that. Do I need to start over?
I heard you.
So we'll be focusing on Adobe micro credentials. We're also doing cohort enrollment for our current students that are enrolled for fall. We'll be working with them in groups in order to enroll them for spring. We have a mobile enrollment event scheduled for November 1st. We have a Butler Service Center enrollment event. And then we're also working closely with the foundation to leverage scholarships for the spring. Any questions?
Thanks, everyone, for the information.
Thank you.
We don't have any board action items for tonight, so we can move on to the consent agenda. Would entertain a motion to approve it as presented.
I would move to approve it as presented.
Second.
Okay. Trustee Good,
Yes.
trustee Brungart,
Yes.
trustee Jolly is absent, trustee Rhodes,
Yes.
trustee Winslow,
Yes.
trustee Shear,
Yes.
trustee Smith.
Yes. That passes 6-0. Move on to supplemental information. Dr. Muhammad, any KPI of note this month?
None this month.
Okay, sounds good. Dr. Crowley. Anything else
No,
to share
just,
there?
just the, let me get the calendar up here. Vocal or instrumental music concert is this week. So check that out. Next week is vocal music concert. And so we can send updates for those, especially for vocal music. If you want to go to vocal music next week, you'll need to reserve your tickets early, and Jennifer can help with that.
Jennifer, would you? Vocal.
So you can send her date and time.
I will.
Yeah. So remember those things, the HLC webinar on the 19th, the advisory dinner on the 26th of October, PTK induction on the 29th. I think those are the dates that you need to remember, and we can send out from our office reminders about those too.
And, you're going to tell us where the PTK.
It's in the student union.
Oh, okay.
In the meeting rooms in the middle. If you come through the front doors and take a right and come down the hallway on the east side of the building. The meeting rooms are right there.
I think for those that came for the first time, you got a treat because I don't think we've had a 1 hour and 10-minute meeting in 4 years.
Amen.
We do still have an exec session for the rest of us, but would entertain a motion to move into exec session. There's some language to that effect. Want to make one small tweak to that language, whereas it's on page 43 of the board book. If we would add to discuss negotiations, all that, and to discuss non-elected personnel.
And we would have Dr. Sperry isn't with us and Shelley is not with us. So when you do your motion, you don't need to include both of those folks.
You want to do it, Dave? You love reading.
Brave that motion.
Okay, I move that the board recess into executive session to discuss negotiations and non-elected personnel pursuant to the open meetings exception for said matters related to employer-employee negotiations, and that the board, President Kim Kroll, Bill Rickenbaugh, Dr. Tom Neville, and Kent Williams be included. And the meeting will resume here in the Dankert trustee room within 30 minutes.
1 second.
Trustee Good,
Yes.
trustee Brungart,
Yes.
trustee Jolly is absent, trustee Rhodes,
Yes.
trustee Winslow,
Yes.
trustee Shearer,
Yes.
trustee Smith.
Yes.
Okay, that passes 6-0. As we've done in the past, I will kind of update the record with the time we get situated virtually to do we have anybody joining us that's not here?
No, nobody by Zoom.
Okay. So we'll be adjourning after we leave exec session. So
for those needing,
for those that wish to stay to see us adjourn, thank you